is a podcast. Check. Yes. You reached another episode of the Kickin It with Kysii show. We are live here on X Squad Radio. Yes. We got an awesome show here. Hey man, it is awesome. It is April 29th. We are here. Nice spring day here, man. Blessed week for me. Blessed, man. It's been blessings as it is, man. But we got a dynamic show. About to bring these young brothers in. Everyone in. We got the Achievement Institute live in the building, so everyone will be logging in shortly. As you see, everybody's coming in. Looks like we got Jaden, we got Hunter, we got Randall. So everybody's coming in. Y'all looking awesome there. I see you. Everybody's looking bright here.
Hey Hunter, do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Take your KL jacket off.
Yes, sir.
Yes. How y'all doing tonight? How's everybody doing?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Oh man, doing awesome. Yes. Glad to get you here on the show.
I appreciate the invite.
Oh yeah, you know, I'm fully vested into what you got going on, man. You know, definitely help my son, my nephew, you know what I mean, go through these muddy waters of this world that we're in. And you're doing an excellent thing. We all need it. I mean, no matter what age, you know, just to have the opportunity, man, and just to have someone as another reinforcement, man, to negate things that are, you know, forces around us.
So Hunter's one of our new guys, and Jaden has been in the program for a minute. So
okay,
they're both in high school.
Awesome. All right, welcome y'all. I'm glad y'all here and joining me. I'm Kysii, Kickin with Kysii, podcaster for now about 5-6 years. As you see, I'm a Morehouse graduate. I'm a Morehouse paraphernalia on. I myself, you know, had to make my way, you know, just like you. I was in a position like you guys were at some point in your life, trying to make my way to find out what I wanted to do. A little confusion on what the future's going to be, but you know, in high school, you know, you got an idea. Then in college, you kind of formulate what it is you want to do, and then you know, kind of figure it out a little bit as you go a little bit along, and kind of familiarize with things that you're comfortable with. But there's certain things, man, that a program like TAI does that you can't really get anywhere. And that's just how to be a man, how to have a conversation with someone, how to write a resume, how to have an interview, how to network with certain people in certain industries. It just puts you in front of things that, you know, is invaluable. I was lucky to have a organization like TAI. From where I'm from, it was the Sigma Beta Club in our area, but the experience was invaluable. There was a lot of notables that was in the program with me. One was Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was in the organization with me. A lot of us from the area, from the Hampton Roads, Newport News, Hampton area in Virginia. But anyway, we jumped right into it. Let me start off. Welcome, Randall. We're gonna start a little bit with you. Try to get a little bit of background history on who you are, what your vision was, how you started this. So first off, Randall Sherrell. Where are you originally from, Randall?
I'm originally from Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. Okay.
And tell me a little bit about with this organization. Well, even before that, where'd you go to school? Did you go to a college?
School is a long story, but I started out at Austin P, went to TSU, and then finished at Shorter.
Okay. That's awesome. So did you have in your mind what it was that you wanted to do? when you first started school? Like as far as
Um,
major?
I was mentoring while in college, so I knew that I wanted to have an impact. I'd originally uh, had a major in history and going into seeing if I could teach at some point and recognize that the salary or the pay
Mhm.
was not what I expected being a teacher. So I decided to go into healthcare consulting at that time.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I gotta give a shout out to my man Mo Cheese, also Mocha Bella in our chat rooms. We're live on xsquadradio.com. We're also live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and everywhere else afterwards. So we're on all kind of platforms. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and everywhere where good music and podcasts are found. So we're in all those locations. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing, Randall, as far as your parents, the how they shaped you into who you are, and were you in any mentoring programs in your upbringing? You coming up?
I was parents are still alive in Nashville, Tennessee. I was surrounded by all types of mentors. Most of them were part of the organization that I'm in now. They were Kappas.
Okay.
In high school, my band director at the time was a heavy influence. He introduced me to the magazine that a lot of people don't even get anymore, GQ. And he would sit me down and talk about what the essence of a man should look like, be like, how they should communicate. And then that just kind of trickled down into pretty much anyone that I ever came in contact with was part of the same organization. And that was part of the influence, and then allowing the opportunity just to have transparent conversations.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. And that's the thing. That's we speak about family and neighbors, and it takes a village to raise folks. That part is always very key for us in our upbringing. Another question that was the start of your TAI.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little bit about that. I first met you. You were in Kappa League, and then you started your own thing with the TAI. Give me a little bit about your shaping of TAI, how you came about with it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been mentoring for a long time, like I said. When I moved to Atlanta, I started mentoring with the 100 Black men of South Metro. That then led me to working with Kappa Alpha Psi with the Guy Right Kappa League program. Mm-hmm. But I always had a passion of doing it on my own and doing it on a platform that would take young men like Hunter and Jaden that are performing at a high caliber in the classroom and give them more focused endpoints or import and examples of men in the community that are doing what they're doing that will give them opportunities to see life a little differently. Because when you're in school, depending on the type of school you're in and the program that you're exposed to, you don't always get the same level of exposure that some of our other counterparts may get. So now I'm teaching young men how to build their own table versus waiting to get a seat at the table.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Invaluable, definitely. Tell me a little bit about the organization as far as the structure of it, like the age limits.
Okay.
Who is encouraged to apply, etc.
All right. Well, the age limit is from middle school all the way through college. Middle school and high school are actually members of TAI, and then the college students are considered ambassadors, and their role is to come back and speak to and mentor alongside us some of the young men that are in the program. The primary focus is to give them the opportunity to tell their story from the transition of high school into college, but also be able to be a resource to provide that back end look of what that college experience is like, and not get the sale from the admissions, but also get here's what it's like to really be a student here. So some of our ambassadors attend Morehouse, University of Florida, FAMU, Florida State, Drexel, Kennesaw State, and the University of Alabama.
Awesome.
And then we have young men throughout Cobb, Gwinnett, Decatur, various areas within Metro Atlanta and some outside of Metro Atlanta who are in the program. And so the purpose is, anyone that meets the criteria of having a 2.5 GPA in middle school and high school can join, and then college, you have to have a 3.5. And then with that particular area of college students, they're also given $1,000 scholarship as long as they maintain their 3.5 GPA all the way through college. They get a scholarship every year. And then if they choose to get their master's, we will give them a scholarship towards that as well.
Okay. Awesome. Something you spoke about was the GQ magazine. Speak about dressing for success. What does that mean for you as far as dressing for success? What is the importance of that?
Well, I think part of where we have kind of walked away from a cultural standpoint is we feel we always have to teach the young men how to look, but we don't teach them how to interact once they're in the room. And so I think success has to come from within, getting them to understand that first, because you can put them in a suit and tie, but if they can't speak the language that they need to speak when they're in the room, it doesn't matter. Right. And so sometimes we focus on make sure you look nice, you feel good, but how do they have that conversation when they're in the room? And so in exposing myself to GQ, what I learned is even though it's a look, it's also what's on the inside. Because if you're jacked up on the inside, it don't matter what you got on the outside. And so it's teaching young men how to look from within from self-esteem and not necessarily on the outside.
Okay. All right, let's shift over to Hunter. All right, tell me a little bit about you, Hunter. How old are you? What grade are you in? What school do you go to? And I know it may be early, but what are your plans as far as maybe a career path, possibly?
Yes, sir. My name is Hunter Goins. I'm a sophomore at Jordan Hills High School. It's in the Decatur, North Atlanta area, and I plan on pursuing a career in the medical field, sir.
Okay, awesome. What makes you want to go into the medical field? Like, what is it about the medical field that interests you?
Well, when I was younger, my mother got sick, and the doctor made a mistake, and I felt that I don't want anybody else to go through that, and I feel like I could do that too. And recently, my freshman year of high school, I played football, and I hurt my ACL, and while I was going through the process of therapy and going to the different hospitals and things of that sort, I tended. I'm missing the word, but I was interested in the process and the orthopedics and the ACLs and the different ligaments like that. So, yes, sir.
Okay. What are your interests? Like, what do you do outside of the good hard work in school? What do you do for fun?
I play football, basketball. I plan on wrestling this year. I boxed when I was younger, swim team. I'm a competitive person, so sports have always been a passion of mine. I dabble in acting in and out, so yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. How are your grades looking?
I have all A's, sir.
All A's. Woo! Let me give it an applause on that. All A's. Wow, man. Big ups, big ups, big ups. Yes. That is big. Love it. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Next one's you, Jaden. I thought you had dipped out for a second. I said, "Oh, Jaden dipped out." You trying to avoid these questions?
No, my phone was about to die, so I had to get a charger real quick.
It's all right, Jaden. What grade are you in? What school do you go to? And what are you interested in doing as a career path, if you know that now?
Okay, so I'm in 9th grade. I go to South Cobb High School. And then the things I like doing would be so I'm interested in 4 things right now. So it'd be music, actually 5 things actually. Music, entrepreneurship, coding, and drawing, as well as playing video games, obviously, because I'm a teen. But the drawing part, I just like to draw and doodle in my free time. Like music, I like to make beats, and then or play my drums and stuff like that. And then coding, I like to code in my free time. Right now, I'm trying to learn how to code JavaScript, so I can start working on a Raspberry Pi that I have, as well as Arduino. And then what was the other thing I said? Oh, entrepreneurship. I have my own business for making shirts.
Oh,
And then
that's right.
yeah.
You're Tori's son, right?
Yes.
Yes. You're the Mr. Robotics over here. That's right. I mean, that's for your time now, Mr. Robotic. But listen, I remember that Randall's laughing. Listen, I remember the project y'all had when you were was it eighth grade? Something to eighth grade, but I remember y'all had went pretty far in that fair with building the robot.
Oh yes.
And that's awesome. So science, is that something that you prefer over most of the other subjects, or?
Yes, when we're not in COVID land, because I like doing like the experiments in lab.
Okay, awesome. So tell me about the T-shirts that you're doing. You got the entrepreneur spirit going. I know she's at the house with the crafting and the things that she's been doing. So I know that is, you got it honest over there. So tell me about some of the T-shirts and the clothing that you've been making.
It's just like random things that like the drawing portion that also comes into play for that. Mm-hmm. So like I'll design T-shirts with drawing. Like if I just like think of something, I'll just like write it down and then like add a design for like a picture. So like one of the designs I did, I drew a koala, mm-hmm. and then I was like, I'm sleepy on it, and that was a shirt. And then another one I did was I wrote like cool kid and then put glasses for like the OO.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so I'm gonna ask you, Hayden. Hunter. I'm sorry, I messed up names. Hayden and Junter. I'm about to mess up. I'm gonna ask you, Hunter. So you listen. You got all A's. There's a lot of pressure in school, peer pressure. Like, oh man, why are you making all these good grades? Why don't you come hang out with us, whatever? Tell me your thought process on someone who's trying to get you to do something that's something that you don't do that's negative to you. How do you handle that type of situation, and what's your mindset on that?
I feel like sometimes you can get distracted, but when you think about the bigger picture, the graduating from college, being successful in your practice, it focuses me. You know what I'm saying? A man once told me that the road to being great is boring sometimes. So just keeping that in my head and focusing on the bigger picture is what keeps me focused.
Wow, awesome. That's that man. Whatever that man said, that was some powerful words there. Definitely. All right, now we're gonna switch over to you, Jaden. What's your thought process? Kids want you to just, hey, don't do your homework. Come on outside. Let's play, man. Let's go do this. Let's kick it. Let's go to the store, whatever. But you ain't got everything finished. What's your mindset on prioritization?
So my thought process on it, it's not really a thought process. It's more of just me thinking of what is my mom gonna do about it? So if she figures out what is the punishment I'm gonna have to take, and then how am I gonna go on afterwards about it? So I think of just like more like consequences more than anything whenever it comes to like things I'm not supposed to do. So I just think of consequences and like what's gonna happen afterwards.
That makes sense. All right, so Randall, let me ask you some of the resources and some of you have a very vast network. A lot of key people who the young men get to meet, a lot of opportunities they get to see, a lot of places they get to go. Tell me a little bit about some of the key trips or projects and things that they were exposed to over the past years, which you started TAI.
Okay. They've been on a couple. One in particular, or two in particular. One was they got an opportunity to meet Kofi Smith, who is the CEO over logistics at Hartsfield Jackson. Mm-hmm. And so they were able to go behind the scenes, have a conversation with him, hear his story and how his life changed from 18 to current, and then also be able to see him for who he was and the vulnerable moments of being not only African American in leadership, but also the youngest African American under 40 who's really making an impact here in Atlanta. A lot of people don't know that he's under the age of 40, making that large of an impact here in Georgia. So being able to have him as a continued resource that's helpful. They also were able to meet a guy, last name of Jones, who owns some property is Magnolia property in Chattanooga.
Okay.
The story behind that was he's a young man. He went to Morehouse. He also went to University of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to come talk to him, sit on his front lawn, actually. And what he's done was he took, there's a hill in Chattanooga where he spent maybe, I would say, $300,000 total in buying this property. Now he has a total of 9 homes on this property. That average price point starts at about $600,000 to $700,000. But
Wow.
you have to come to him ready, cash and carry. But to hear his vision of trying to create a neighborhood for African American males to create, or African American families to create that village again, to hear that story, to hear that most of these homes that he's building are environmentally safe, but then also to hear here's a man who is a engineer by trade, has no background whatsoever in building or homes or properties, but to take what he was passionate about in building a community and starting that, and actually seeing the homes. I went when he just had one home. It was his and one he was building. And then to see how vast it's become over the years was not only impressive, but he's also down to earth. And I think once you sit down and hear the stories, all of them have the same common story. We went to college at 18, things happened. We tried to figure it out. And I think where some people miss the boat sometimes with the young men that we're dealing with is to hear that someone in their 30s, someone in their 40s still had the same issues that are relative today, whether it was thinking about committing suicide or having a kid early and having to figure out all of that, losing scholarships in college, but still trying to make it work and still successful. Shows young men that you can still make it work with all the challenges. And so I think those two were pivotal, but they've also met Ron Mabry from the Mabry office. He came in and talked to them about logistics and law and all that type of stuff. They've met a whole slew of what I call the powerhouse men in my village that drop seeds of knowledge to not just depend on today, but how do you start massaging your mind to think about not just to go to college to get a job, but to go to college to get exposure and experiences and educated so that you can create the job for yourself. Right. You and I are of the era where our parents said, you go to college, you get a good job.
Right.
This era is being told, go to college, maybe, but you can also start your own job, or you can create your own company and then catapult yourself a little differently. It's about creating the plan prior to graduating from college. So I think by being exposed to all types of men, whether it's from California, Texas, DC, lawyers, whatever the field that they're in, each one of them plants a different seed to make not only the young men think differently about themselves, but also because I open up all the meetings to the fathers. Okay. So they actually are getting able to hear kind of what they didn't, but also get a perspective of how I can unpack to change the scope of what I'm working on.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome right there. So I'm going to put a challenge out here to Hunter and Jaden. So I run a podcast network. Jaden, you might not know, but your mother's on my podcast network as well with her show. So I'm putting a challenge because you guys are very bright-minded guys, and I'm looking at putting out a challenge to see if I can get you two guys, and we might expand it out to the others as well. But me having this podcast network, I'm always looking for new shows. I want to see if you guys can put together a document for me, write up a actual idea of a new show. So from start to finish, like what is the show? Like who would be on the show? What type of crowd would you be attracting on that show? What type of topics would you cover on that show? And how you would market that show. So those type of elements I'd like for you to provide to me. And I'll write it up for you as well, Randall. But that would be something great, because we're in Atlanta. Atlanta's the home of technology and creatives. We've got so many things that are around here as far as film, music, all kinds of technology, things that are hand in hand. As creatives, you always have to be, creative with, writing different things. Whether you're in undergrad or grad schools, it's going to always be something that you're going to be having to read. Reading is very necessary, and most people who are successful will always tell you they got all of these, several books that that they have in their libraries. That's a lost tool that a lot of us, we get in our busy lives, and we kind of lose that. We kind of lose feeding our minds. So, I'm not going to preach to you about how important reading is, but I'm going to take the other side of that and try to dig into your creativeness and see if you can format a great podcast. And yours could, Hunter, yours can be on even something on the medical side of it, something that someone wants to hear in regards to bettering their health or something. So that would be a good one for you. And then when Jaden comes back, I'll let him pick his. He has so many different interests and things. But anyway, so let me ask you this, Hunter. School-wise, did you think about what you wanted to do as far as a college, undergrad?
Yes, sir. Morehouse is on the top of my list. I've met a lot of Morehouse men, and they've convinced me that.
Where's my applause again? I gotta put the applause out again. All right. That's a good choice there. Of course, I'm gonna be biased towards that. Yes. All right.
But yes, sir. Morehouse University.
So, in school, your peers, what does it seem like everyone? I don't know if they've really expressed that yet, but like, what do you think everyone else around you is going? Are they staying in state, out of state, HBCUs, non-HBCUs? What does it seem like everyone is going as far as choosing a college or university?
For the most part, a lot of my friends are trying to stay in state because those out-of-state fees are very expensive, so people don't really have money like that to do that. But yeah, a lot of people are staying in state. As far as HBCUs or PWIs, I'm not really sure. We haven't had that conversation yet, but I know I have a couple of friends that really want to go to Georgia State or University of Georgia.
Okay. So I'll say this for you and your perspective, me being a Morehouse guy, and I can give my perspective of it. So I was raised in Virginia. I went to probably a 50-50, 50% African American, 50% probably Caucasian school. A little bit of other, but not much. So I can't say 50-50, maybe say 48 and 47, I don't know. But for the most part, grades were not necessarily a priority for us young black men coming up in my area. Athletics, high. Entertaining was high. Whatever it is, just go and get a job. That was pretty much what everyone's mindset was. So choice of college, if you were going to college, a lot of times you chose a state school in the area if you were doing that. And as far as the African American kids, they really, it's funny, I think about their perspective at that time. They didn't necessarily have high prioritization of going to college at that time. But years later, you see that they did well for themselves. I'm like, oh, okay, you thought you were gonna fail or something. You had a mindset that you kind of put together because you felt like they were underachieving at that time. But at some point in time, they got their lives together, and you're surprised. You say, wow, this guy, was a owner of a company, doctor, whatever. You know what I mean? People really got themselves together. So what I took away from that was probably, and I can say that for myself, you know, I could have been a straight A student. I decided to be a B student. You know what I mean? I didn't apply my best, because I had so many other things that were factors and other things that, you know, I want to, I don't know, look cool, be accepted. You know, all those things were part of who I was. You know what I mean? So I didn't necessarily put my foot on the pedal for the highest achievement. So I got my way into Morehouse, and it was eye-opening because everyone around me was just like me. Everyone was African American. Everyone was high achievers. I got down to Atlanta. It was a whole new world because, you know, you're around your parents. You're around, you know, you're disciplined. You're around structure. You go to college. It's like you're independent. You get to do whatever you choose to do. So that's what makes college so interesting, because you can just sleep every day and just flunk out of school if you want to. But you know what I mean? You're going to waste a lot of money. You're going to have your parents really mad. You know, all kinds of different things that are going to happen with that. So you have to choose, okay, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to handle my business. I'm going to take care of these priorities, et cetera, et cetera. So you become responsible. You become an adult. You're already an adult per se by age, but the responsibility helps to build you and your character as you go through college. So my experience, like I said, at Morehouse, at HBCU in Atlanta, was eye-opening. It was so many brothers, such awareness, so much cultural shock for me, because I hadn't had that many African American brothers around me, you know what I mean, with the same goals. It was so many elements and things that was going on politically. It was just, you know, just having debates in the hallways, in the evenings. I mean, it was just so much, you know. I can go on and on and on. I'll just say you will enjoy your experience at Morehouse, your experience in the AUC, being around Clark, Atlanta, Spelman. Morris Brown is still building back, but just having that whole cultivation. You're already in Atlanta Metro, so you kind of already see part of what Atlanta's infusing in you. So I was able to get the Atlanta infusion, plus the HBCU, plus the AUC infusion all at one time. So it was awesome. I never left Atlanta since then because of my experience.
Jaden said he was waiting to get admitted into the...
I'm sorry. I'm just talking. Jay got kicked out, huh? All right, let's see. I see him. There you go, Jaden. Sorry about that, having you in the holding room here. That's the thing about Zoom, is Zoom has one of two things now as a security feature. I'm an IT security person by day trade as well. That's my career. But they decided to put two security measures in because I guess people were spamming and jumping into Zooms, and now everyone is on Zoom calls remotely. You know, that you either have to have a meeting ID or you have to have a waiting room. So I did it where you didn't have to have the meeting ID or the passcode. I'm sorry, you didn't have to have the passcode, but the waiting room is enabled. So, you know, that's one of those technical things. So, Jaden, all right. Do you have any idea where you're going to school? I know you're just starting good in high school. You have a college choice yet, or not really?
Not really. No, I'm still deciding. I know I just want to go far though. Far.
You want to leave the area?
Yes, the area, the state, whatever.
Wow, that is amazing. Listen, won't Kenneth be mad at you if you leave?
Say that one more time.
Will Kenneth be mad at you when you leave? Your little brother.
See, by the time he gets to the age that he'll be, I'm pretty sure he'll be good.
Yeah, I'm making jokes because he's got the cutest little brother. Man, he's funny. Y'all together are great, great comedy. Yes. All right, so Randall, how many guys are actually in TAI total as far as
There's a
active?
total of 25.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are in high school and middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're still in the process of recruiting before we close for the 2021-2022 calendar year.
Okay. What's the deadline on that?
The deadline was April, but I'm still getting people submitting interest and applications. And so some we're screening, some we're not, because I'm selective as to who's in the program.
Okay.
But if it's a referral and I know the parent and I talk to the young man and the family, we can proceed that way.
Okay. I referred my nephews. I think the mother was supposed to contact you, but I'm not sure. Q and TJ are the names. Quincy and TJ. Or Quincy and Tim Tab Jr. That's his real name.
We'll just have them reach out to me directly.
Okay. Awesome. I'll do that definitely. So, because my perspective, like I said, you can't get this anywhere. As a program, this is amazing. You know, just to be able to go and get put in the room with the CEO of Hartsfield Airport or the waterworks. What was it? Was it Cobb County? The time went to. You know, those type of opportunities. You know, just average person, you know, doesn't get to. Did y'all do a trip to the aquarium?
We didn't, but some of the students were able to go to Mercer, to the robotics, I guess, department. And what we found out is, you know, they have a partnership with a different community that provides aesthetics or prosthetics, to the indigent population. So I was able to introduce the young man to that. But if it wasn't for young men like Hunter and Jaden, the program wouldn't exist, because it's taking young men that are making the mark in the classroom, but then also know that there's more to being a well-rounded student than just being in the classroom.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome. Jaden, you spoke about music. You know, the creativity, because I see that as you as a creative. Seriously, because you got a lot of different things that you do creatively, and that outlet, you know, being able to draw graphically, musically, all those different things that you've been doing, continue to do that. That's a super strong trait to have. My daughter, she's a senior in high school right now, and she drew probably ever since she was, 4 or 5, and she continued all the way on to now to her senior year. So she's gonna be an art major, art graphics in college. And she went and got a Adobe certification yesterday. I think she said 15 students went to take it, and she was the only one that passed it. I was like, wow. And I work in Adobe products. I'm like, you did what? Because I knew nothing about it. Like, you did Adobe certification professional. Like, what? So she just blew me away with that one. But I know that, you know, if you guys continue doing what y'all are doing, y'all are bright. You know, you've got goals ahead of you. You're staying on the path of, you know, the straight and narrow as far as, you know, being focused of, you know, what you want to do. And I know in the end, y'all are gonna be super successful. You know what I mean? Don't be money driven, because all that stuff comes. You know, focus on your purpose and giving. Like Mr. Randall, he gives to others. You know what I mean? He gives, and that's how he gets his satisfaction. You know, that's how he's gonna continuously be blessed. And I know you guys, like I said, I can tell from the way you are and the way, you know, your structure is and your future plans that, you know, y'all are gonna continue to build, just continue to be who you are. Let me ask you this, Randall. I think I had another question that I I wanted to know. Tell me a little bit about your nephew. That was one of the ambassadors that I've been really, really interested in the things that he's been doing, and it's been awesome to follow the path, of what he's been doing. Tell me a little bit about how he's matriculated through the program and the success that he's now seeing at Morehouse and being an entrepreneur and everything else.
Well, I call all of them my nephews. So
yeah, that's true. That is true.
We're all related. I call them my nephews because that's how much I care about them and love them. Okay. But he's one. Tyshawn is like we would call him diamond in the rough. Tyshawn used to be affiliated with a gang while he was in high school, but still had a 3.5, 3.8 GPA in high school. Took him on a trip, and at that point he wasn't sure if he even wanted to go to college.
Wow.
But at the age of 7, or maybe a little older, maybe 7th grade, he had this Morehouse pennant in his room when he was growing up, and that's where he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Didn't have the ACT, but had the GPA. And so he was on his way to the Army until I kind of talked to him and said, what is that you like to do? So it was between FAMU and Morehouse. Took him to FAMU. He was put on a waiting list, loved the college, loved the school. But I said, if you had to pick just one, where would you go? And he was like, I want to go to Morehouse. That's my dream. Mm-hmm. And so told him to go down to the admissions office. I'm in Ohio at the time in a meeting. I get this text, hey, Unc, we got to give you some news. So I'm thinking he didn't get accepted. Mm-hmm. So he said, hey, I got accepted to Morehouse. I didn't think that would happen. This is a dream come true for me. I made the mistake being so excited. I posted on social media. His mom didn't know yet. So she's at work crying. Her son is now being admitted to Morehouse. Long story short, 2 years later, Tyshawn has maintained a 3.8, been continuing to do that. And then probably about 2 months ago, passed his real estate exam. But he's just one of many of the kids, Marquise Collins, who's also there, got a president. He's on the president's list, dean's list. He's the quarterback for Morehouse. That's another one of my kids. Then, or young men. Then I have Daniel, who's on the baseball team at Morehouse. I have a young man at the University of Alabama doing big things. And so it's what they've learned is, how do I make money while I'm in college to pay off the debt so that when I graduate, I don't have the debt, but then I also have a job. So Marquise and Tyshawn both are in real estate. So they've used that to pay for some of the other things and been awarded scholarships in between. So they are what I consider, all of my young men are. I sit back sometimes and wish I had what they had growing up.
And starting young, like the mindset, man.
And just having exposure. When you look at Hunter, who's not as boastful about himself. I mean, here's a young man that is in several AP programs. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to say he got the highest GPA, but I have a feeling he'd have like one of those GPAs, 4.2, 4.5, something that won't exist, because he is that smart. When I look at Jaden is probably somebody that I used to love to see build things, because he could do it in 2 minutes. I'd blink an eye and he'd be done. Yeah. But just how both of their minds work shows what they're capable of. And all I'm trying to do is just stand in the background and nurture and push them where they need to be, because there's a lot of young men, even the young men at FAMU in the band have 3.5s. The average cumulative of all my college students is a 3.7. So that lets you know none of them fall below the mark cumulative, but they're all trying to make an impact.
Man, that is crazy. Kudos.
I just pick on Hunter because he, it's not a day that he's not studying, taking an AP class, or trying to figure out how to get prepared for the next level.
Right.
And I didn't have that mindset in high school like he did.
Tell me, do you have any challenges? I'm sure you, of course, you do. You're dealing with young men. You have challenges with the worldly. I don't know. It's a lot of strings that's pulling on the young men, and all the kind of bad directions and things. You're telling me, I guess, about Tyshawn when he was affiliated back then. Any other type of situations where it's like, I had to actually, turn several kids around and face them, the right direction for them to continuously want to be in this program? Or do you find that well, I know you're up for the challenge. I say that. You know what I mean? You already know what you're dealing with. So
Well, I think for
the
TAI, it's a little different because what I am challenging African Americans to do is start to think differently. None of these, I would say my young men, I hate the word at risk.
Yeah.
We're the only community that claims that our children or our young Black men are at risk. Yeah, we know everything that's going on from a societal standpoint in terms of societal pressures.
Yeah.
I get, but I also recognize young men like Hunter and Jayden and some of the young men in TAI. If they're not in the top tier in the classroom for their guidance counselors or teacher to pay attention to them, they fall short. And sometimes as a group or society, we think because these young men are making straight A's, that they don't have issues either, that they have everything at their disposal when they don't. They can walk out the door and be in the same neighborhood as someone else, but they have to think differently and move differently, but also have to understand all the pressures. I think right now, with the transition from in-classroom learning to virtual for some has been a challenge. I think because, again, as you well know, what you're running from is what you end up running to. And so a lot of these young men use school as their escape from their home life because, you got moms, dad, everybody's not 100% where they need to be. And now that you're all together due to COVID, you don't have that release as you used to have. And so now a lot of our young men are dealing with mental health. And what I mean by that is, you got depression, you have other things going on that they're being faced with, that they don't have those outlets. And now that you are kind of closed captioned, if you will, you don't know how to communicate or when. And so what I've been able to do is, we meet twice a month, but I also know virtual meetings are hard because you can't really see what's going on or hear what's going on. And so I think a lot of times the young men not only have societal things that they're dealing with, they got pressures from mom, their dad. You wake up, everybody's happy. You go to bed, you wake up the next day and everybody's not happy anymore. So it kind of fluctuate with mood, and then you throw the new way of teaching in there, that throws another monkey wrench in the program because, again, everybody that's a teacher may not have the same passion as the next teacher. And so now you're dealing with some teachers giving you work just so they can justify the need for them to be in the classroom. And then you do have some teachers that are very passionate about making sure each child succeeds.
Okay.
And so I think part of where TAI tries to match is our director of education or our chief learning officer, actually Chris Holmes, has a company that he has called Fully Engaged. And what he does is he partners with me, and any young man that's having a problem with school, any type of programs, he steps in that gate and makes sure that we're able to keep that young man moving forward. And so if I didn't have resources like that at the table, someone who used to be a past educator, past principal, and now consulting on the other side of education, I don't think a lot of young men or parents would do that. And so what I'm trying to do is just make sure I inform the parents, give them the information they need so that the young man can be successful.
Okay. Your previous organizations, I won't say the name of them or whatever, but your previous mentoring organizations, tell me the difference and what you created here at TAI and what you ran previously? Like, what separates this? What is different in the goal?
The major difference that I found is what my focus is.
Okay.
And so it's focusing on bringing the village and the family back together, but it's also mentoring young men until they graduate from college, because we have various programs and I've been a part of all of them and they all do things well. But what I notice sometimes is once a young man transitions from high school and go to college, they don't get that exposure, but then we expect them to maneuver like men,
Right.
but not necessarily teach them how to maneuver, because once you've gone from, every day being told what to do to now having to think independently, and no one's ever given you that structure or what that looks like, it's a challenge. And what I've noticed that a lot of college students don't talk about, if I'm coming from Cobb County and I go to Morehouse, that's a culture change for me. Because even though I'm in Atlanta, it's a culture shift, because I may have everything readily available at my school, but then when I come to Morehouse, I may not have everything. And what we try to do is give exposure to a PWI and a HBCU. I love HBCUs because they give you an opportunity to learn about you and who you are and how you fit in. But then I'm not one to downplay a PWI, because I've done both. I've gone to a PWI and an HBCU, and I've seen the value of both.
Right. Do you feel like, and I speak about it, that technology is a gift and a curse? Of course, a lot of different things, has enhanced with technology. However, with the youth, there has been some things that hinder them, because technology, they've been born next to technology all their life, from 1-2 years old, they pick up a tablet, phone, whatever. But we kind of, as a society, have kind of shortened certain things, certain fundamentals that, we may have learned because of technology. I'm noticing, some of the communication that some kids have now is probably more short text, from texting more so than, writing full thoughts, and the writing process that we learn. Even the point of learning to type. Nobody's teaching typing in schools anymore. Now, it's a text thing, and they said that, I think research was done that it ain't much difference between the speed of someone being able to effectively text as it is somebody to learn how to type. So, there's different things that that are going on, but I just feel like you said, with depression and different things that the kids are faced with, because I feel like technology has always made things ready for them. If you want something to eat, you can order it. You want something from the store, you can order it. You want a car, somebody pick you up, you got Uber, you got things that are readily for you. But if you have to think outside of something that's not available, where you have to apply the thought process, like, I don't have this, what do I do now? There's some people who are lost or going to, depression, or I lost my job, or what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? Those are things that are facing a lot of the young people. And I know an organization like yours, like I said, these young men are astounding, and they think differently. You know what I mean? So they may not have that, but some may have a situation like that. What's your thought process on technology and the development?
Well, we actually had a conversation about that last weekend during our retreat. And the question that I asked is, because technology is always changing and advancing, that is their major form of communication. There's no real dialogue or communication except via text, or if I'm playing a game, I can play with a group of people, but it's limiting how they interact socially sometimes. Right. But they use apps to be social. And so I think for the two young men here, we challenge them to create their own video game. If it's what you like to do, let's see how you can create it. So in that way, you're using your mind, but it's also creating that think tank that they all have to sit around at a table and have a discussion about, how do we create this, or how do we do that? And I think what I've done from time to time is I've just had technology checkout. Everybody turn their phone in, and let's just go back to that old school conversation that we used to have. Everybody uses the iPhone or iPad to entertain themselves, but if you want to know what's really going on, you got to put it down and figure out, have those conversations, talk to your young men, your daughters, whatever the case may be, because you'll turn around and look back. You don't know what's going on in their life because you've been so focused on your social media platforms that you don't realize that you've now become unengaged because you forgot how to create relationships through communication. You're looking at a false sense of friends through Facebook. Right. Facebook was started because a group of people didn't like each other. Now we're going to talk about what it is, but now that it's evolved to what it is, people think because you got 4,000 people following you or friends that they're all connected. No. So I think teenagers or young men that we deal with in TAI, they learn that there's someone else like them that they can communicate with, and it makes it easier, even though social media is still that platform, or apps, or phones and iPads are still their main focus. But I will say, most of the time, these young men are not on their phones because they don't even respond to uncle when I send them a text about 2 or 3 days later. So, so their primary focus is computers, getting the work done, and playing video games. But I will say that's a challenge for our community, because I know that we're quick to look at Snapchat and everything, but we're not really quick to really ask what's going on and what's wrong. Right. And so I think we opened up the door a little bit and went back a little old school on some things and had that dinner table conversations where your mom said, how was school? How was your day? And everybody was able to unplug from any type of phone or technology. It would help bring back that gap that we have now in the family.
Yes. Let's talk about social issues, things that are plaguing, in the community now, as far as, racism's been going on forever. Social media is putting a highlight on it. Have you spoke to the young men about their interaction with law enforcement? We have so many things that are unfortunately going on right now that we have to have, as a family, we have to have that conversation. But I was just wondering, do y'all have discussions about how everyone's feeling in regards to situations where someone has lost their life, etc.?
Yeah, we have. We've had a lawyer. He's actually a federal attorney. We've had a couple other young people in the community come in and talk. We're going to have some policemen from DC, Atlanta, and a couple of areas come in and talk. But we're taking a different approach, because the one thing that we've always heard, or we tell our young men, is to be safe and don't cause any interaction because we want you to get home. But we don't teach them or give them the tools necessary to know what to do when they're pulled over, not just be quiet and go with the flow, because we've seen that even when you do what's right, you still get shot or killed. And so where we're going next is we're going to ask the policemen, what are the training that you receive? Because we know that you're taught to provoke, which is what some of the policemen have said to our young men. But what can we do? What rights do we have as Black male citizens that we don't always have to operate in a place of fear? And so knowing that most Black men, when they see blue lights, their natural reaction is, I don't know what's going to happen after this. And so there's been conversations around, instead of calling mom, should you call 911? Because it's recorded. Mom's not going to be able to get to you as quick as it is when you can call 911. So looking at alternatives, but then also looking at how to have those conversations, because we keep telling them to walk away or Black Lives Matter, and not to say that they don't, because they do, but the focus is not necessarily always walking away safely, because we see that don't work. What is it that we need to know from a law perspective to protect ourselves?
Right. And the understanding, like I said, it's like I said, with the dealings and the interaction, it's all racism, but you can have an interaction with a Black cop who's just as bad with you. It's a it's a perception that, you know, although we got two superstar students we have here online, but they may look at you as, you know, you didn't rob the convenience store, you know, down the street, just because that's their perception of you. You know what I mean? That's the things that are you know, are plaguing the community. Hunter, do you drive yet? Do you have a driver's license?
No, sir, but I'm getting my permanent in a couple of weeks.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So yeah, it's
Let me know when you get it so I can stay on my side of town.
Stay out of the cab. Yes. And I taught everyone in my household. I'm the one that had the patience and the instructional fortitude to actually take all my kids around and teach them how to drive. But yeah, so like I said, that's a great conversation definitely to have to start the dialogue. It's got to be ongoing with the whole interaction, because there's no real answer to it. You don't know what kind of day the person is that you're interacting, you run into that day. So, you know, it's crazy. And I remember, Randall, you in past events, you actually had some meetings that actually at the police department. You know what I mean? So that was, I guess, a good partnership. They came in and is able to, you know, speak, you know, during so many events. So do you maintain relationships with some of the area police departments so they can come in and have those type of conversations?
I do. I think because each county can operate differently based on how they respond. I think the one thing that I've learned is that, you know, policemen are people too. And then their struggle is, and they've even said, you know, we don't know what we're going to be faced with. So we're just as reluctant as anybody else can be. And so I try to, you know, with the police friends that I do have in different areas and in different states, they all say, you know, even themselves being black men have been treated different. And even when they show the badge, they still don't get that same level of respect that they would get just by being a black man.
All right. That's true. All right, Randall, let me find out what is your social media handles, website information. How can people find out more about the organization? And I know you still have some openings right now that are closing out soon. How can people get in touch with you, etc.?
One, go to the website. It's theachievementinst.org. There's an inquiry form that'll automatically come to me. You can complete it. Let me know name, school. That information will come directly to me. You can follow TAI or the Achievement Institute on Facebook. We do have an Instagram account, and then we're also on Instagram and Twitter. But you can also follow my page as well, because that's where most of it's going to be posted. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll have a podcast called TAI Talks. And that's where the young men will come on and just talk about what they're going through every day on a different platform. So if any parent, father interested to enroll their young man, whether they're in middle school, high school, or college, that's the way to do it.
I have space. I'm on a platform. I can put it out. You have it available. And listen, I'll put it out there too on our network.
All right. Well, you know I appreciate you because you're family anyway. So
yes. Now you guys, y'all up for the challenge? Y'all gonna do the creation of the podcast shows that I'm trying to get from you? Are y'all up for the challenge?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna think about something. I'm gonna go to the workshop.
You got to remind Jaden because he got disconnected when you were talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, Jaden, I was actually speaking about the creation of a podcast. Develop me a podcast. You can send it over to me and just tell me what is the what is the title of the podcast? What will the podcast be about? Who, like, you can create two figures, you know, they don't necessarily have to be specific people, but who would be in the podcast? What are the topics that you would cover in the podcast? And then who are you marketing the podcast to? And what's a good way to market the podcast? Like, get it out to the masses. So develop me a little write-up in regards to a podcast that you would create. And who knows?
All right.
I have space and opportunity. We might make it happen. Listen, your mama has equipment over there. I already know that. All right, so I appreciate you guys definitely coming in. Anytime you want to come on, Randall, and talk about whatever the topics are, you want to have the young men on, and we can bring in some others. Talk about what they got going on. Listen, I'm always open. Doors open. This is my platform. I keep it open and talk about everything. So I really appreciate y'all coming in.
Appreciate the invite. Appreciate the invite.
Yes. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has. But it's okay. I appreciate it. Appreciate Hunter and Jaden joining us as well.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for coming in and sharing who you are and what you do. And listen, much success to you. I'm continuously gonna follow you. I'm on all the emails and I still follow everything. Listen, we'll see if I can get my son to come and impart. He's doing some IT stuff, so he might be able to drop some knowledge in.
He's more than welcome.
Yes.
He's more than welcome.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So thank y'all for coming in.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, sir.
Let y'all get y'all evening on, and I guess I'll go ahead and take a look at this NFL draft and see what these Falcons are going to do.
All right.
All right.
Have a good evening. All right.
Everybody,
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. That was TAI, the Achievement Institute. Yes. Big ups. Right on. Thank Randall, Jaden, and Hunter for coming through, sharing information, sharing who they are, their beliefs, philosophies. The young men for their awesome grades that they're continuously doing. Shout out to Tori for raising such a great young man. Tori is one of the hosts on the X Squad Radio Network, Woman Crush Wednesday. Miss Tori Grace. Big ups. Anyway, I appreciate y'all definitely coming in. We had a great April. If you haven't caught any of the shows in April, this rounds up the great series in April that we had. Great shows. Go to Kysii.com, xyradio.com. Check out some of the past shows, things that you may have missed. We had Trey Chaney, the actor, on. He was in The Wire. He's in the Saints and Sinners show that comes on Bounce TV. And he was also in a show called Secret Society. Before that, we had Tracy Lee, who is a rapper turned entertainment attorney based out of Philadelphia. We had him. We had comedian Kendra Crump. And here we had TAI, Randall, and some of the TAI guys, Hunter and Jaden. So great April we had. In May, I've got a guy by the name of Marcus Flowers who's running against Marjorie Green. So we definitely need to listen in on that and try to get that young lady. I ain't gonna say young lady, get her up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So can't wait to talk to Marcus Flowers and the great podcast that I have coming up with him. And we also got Sugar Ray Leonard Jr. coming up. So got some good shows, man. Got some good shows. May is gonna be powerful just as well. Yes. All right. So anyway, I'm on the way out of here. I appreciate y'all for checking out your boy Kysii. Thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend to tell a relative, tell a coworker, and download the mobile app, X Squad Radio Network. We're here in all of the app stores, so be sure to download it. And listen, we play great music. We play great shows. Tune in. I appreciate y'all. All right, I'll talk to you later.
This is Mocha Bella, and you're tuned into the X Squad Radio Network, where we're changing your listening habits 24/7, 7 days a week.
This is your boy D Rex from South Central, and you tune into X Squad Radio Network. Yeah, man.
We all hate when we have unexpected car problems. Well, I am here to tell you about a viable solution. Bay 11 Auto and my man Melvin. You have emission problems? Brakes need changing? Transmission slipping? Is your car just driving sluggish? No problem is too big. I live on the other side of town and I drive over an hour to a guy that I trust. Melvin is honest, dependable, and definitely not in the business to break your pockets. Come see the official mechanic Melvin at Bay 11 Auto. You will be glad you did. You can reach him at 1455 General Arts Road, Conyers, Georgia, or 404-295-5715. That's 404-295-5715.
Tonight, I will be magnificent. I will be better than I ever been. I will be free. I will shine bright, reflect the limelight. Do it like this is my last time. I will be me. Can you see me? Standing in front of the crowd with a sound that resounds like thunder. Make them so proud when I rock loud, cause I shut them down and make MCs wonder how I can do it like this at any given time. Give me 16 bars, I get in your mind. Look and you will find that I'm nothing more than a messenger that's blessed with the gift of rhyme. I stay on my grind, trying to find my treasure. Diamonds form under pressure. Spit it so clear, make them all see the picture. Nothing like spitting for those who really get you. Tonight, I will be magnificent. I will be better than I ever been. I will amaze me, true to myself, they can't change me. I will be hip-hop, you don't stop. On the edge of a dream, and I'm always this close. I've been rocking mics up and down the East Coast, done radio shows, been an open mic host. I once even warmed up the crowd for most, but none of that matters when you still punching in, taking calls, and when it all falls down, I'm left wondering where the fire went and how to get it back into my environment. Cause right now I'm living for retirement. I've been doing this so long and I'm still aspiring. Time's moving, looking at the clock, cause it ain't enough to be the dopest MC on the block. I need more of it. I give you all of me with no frontin'. I need y'all to love it. And even if you don't, I'm still coming. Vote for anything if you don't stand for something. Tonight, I will be magnificent. I will be better than I ever been. I will amaze me. True to myself, they can't change me. I will be hip-hop, you don't stop. I change what I can, the things I control. The rest of this, I just let it roll. Say goodbye to the girl with the stagnated flow. I only make music that's good for my soul. On a road, so ain't no stopping me now. I've been through the struggle, I haven't forgotten my trial. From the childhood to grandma's death, it's been wild. Never know it, cause I never show it when I smile. Pray for tomorrow, and I hope that it comes. And if I do wait, I'ma take it and run. Give you this song while I write another one. While I'm sitting here waiting for my change to come. You see, I spit it till it's hard to breathe. Like it's just you and me, wear my heart on my sleeve. That's the mark of a true MC, it's just me. Bigger than Dynasty, it's D, Maria E. Tonight, I will be magnificent. I will be better than I ever been. I will amaze me, true to myself, they can't change me. I will be hip-hop, you don't stop, stop. I will be
This is a podcast.